Final Cut Pro X or Filmora X? Which video editor is right for you? Let's take a look. So let me just start off by saying, these two video editors are largely built for different users. Final Cut Pro is a full-on professional level video editor. Filmora X is not. It's more of an amateur video editor. So why make the video then? Final Cut Pro is better. That's the one I should use, right? Well, not always. Each of these fit different use cases in my opinion, and that's what we're going to look at. So we're going to walk through each program, looking at a few different areas. We're going to look at availability and pricing, the interface, editing options, ease of use, and exporting options. Then, once we get done with that, I'll be making this video in both programs so we can test the exporting speed. For this video, though, I will be using different laptops for each program. For Final Cut Pro, I'll be using the MacBook Pro 16. And for Filmora, I'll be using the Razer Blade 15 base. And then quickly, just before we jump in, if you find this video helpful, you don't have to do it now. Please take a second to drop a like. And you know what? While you're down there, go ahead and subscribe too. I'd certainly appreciate it. All right, so first up, availability and pricing. Final Cut Pro X or 10, however you want to say it, is only available on Mac through the App Store, and it runs for $299. It does, however, come with a 90-day full free trial, which is wonderful. I mean, that's plenty of time to get your hands on it and see if you like it, and definitely take advantage of this if you're interested. Filmora X, however, is available for Windows or Mac, and that runs for, at least right now, $66 roughly for the lifetime purchase. And it also has a full, basically unlimited free version, but it does have a watermark on the free version. But this is great if you want to, again, go ahead and just kind of get your feet wet, see if you like the program, and get a feel for that software. Last part of the pricing piece, though, both softwares do offer some discounts, and I'll start with Filmora. And this is just the discount that I have seen and used because I am a student. But if you're a student, you can get Filmora X for $49, so almost $20 off. Final Cut Pro, on the other hand, it gives an educator bundle discount, and in my opinion, this discount is out of this world. So it's still relatively expensive, but what you get is obviously Final Cut Pro 10, but you also, in addition to that, get Logic Pro, you get Motion, you get Main Stage, and Compressor. And that's $630 worth of content creation software, and you can get that for $200. So I'm no Apple shill, but to me, that's just a crazy good deal. And I'll put links to both of those down in the description if you want to check them out. I would recommend it. Okay, so the last thing that I want to mention here as far as availability is concerned is that Final Cut Pro, because it's tied to your Apple ID, any Apple product that you have, you can use your Final Cut Pro basically license on. So your MacBook, your iMac, whatever happens to be, one license covers all your devices. Whereas with Filmora X, you are purchasing a single license, which means if you purchase it for PC and you decide you want to swap it over to Mac, that requires another license to be purchased. And if you have it on PC and say you use it on your laptop and you decide you want to move it to your desktop, you'll have to basically remove the license from your laptop and put it on your desktop. So you could only have one license, or the single license only works on one device. So while the Final Cut Pro may only be available for Apple, I feel like its availability is better across multiple devices, whereas Filmora, you can use it on both operating systems, but you can still only have that single license. So it requires multiple purchases if you want to use it on different operating systems. So just want to make that clear. Let's move on from pricing into the interface. And we'll start off with the layout. And we'll look at Filmora X first. Pretty standard layout here, but it's very simple and large. It's like a cell phone for old people. But I think that's kind of the point of Filmora, right? Everything is very clearly labeled and easy to find. Final Cut Pro X, kind of that same standard layout, single preview window and such, though maybe just a little more elegant than Filmora. And this might be some confirmation bias, but I think you kind of get the sense that it's a little more professional level, a little more sleek and minimalist than Filmora X is. So that sort of moves us into kind of the appearance of these two programs. Filmora personally is nice because of that large, simple design. And as for customization, they give you the option to kind of go light and dark modes, and that's really about it for Filmora. Final Cut Pro X, they don't really give you any customization, but you can sort of change your workspaces to fit, what you're actually working on in the video. So how easy is it to find things? Filmora, I think, shines here, and that's probably not a surprise. Everything is clearly labeled, large, easily identifiable icons. The only part that may be a little bit difficult is sort of finding the advanced editing features. You have to kind of click around a little bit, navigate a few tabs to get there. Final Cut Pro, on the other hand, is, I think, a little more difficult. Things are not clearly labeled, things like transitions, effects, and such like that. You kind of have to find the icons, but once you find them, obviously it's not hard to navigate, but it will take you a little extra time to find what you're looking for. All right, so looked at availability, pricing, and layout. Next up, let's look at editing options. Starting off with transitions, titles, and effects. Filmora comes with a decent amount of pre-installed transitions, titles, effects, and stuff. But where Filmora really shines is through the use of their film stocks. And I won't go deep into this, but if you want to see more about this, check out the video on Filmora openers and thumbnails. You can see a little bit more about the film stocks. But basically, the film stocks gives you access to pre-made, high-quality, transitions, titles, and effects and such. And they do have free options, but if you go this route, I would recommend going with the $10 per month standard library. You use this, then with very little effort, you can kind of fully customize your videos and whatever you're making. Final Cut Pro also comes with a good selection of transitions, titles, and effects. Final Cut also comes with audio transitions and effects, which is really nice. Filmora doesn't have that. But Final Cut also allows for the use of plugins, which can give you basically limitless customization. You can see down here I have some audio transitions, plugins that I've added through Isotope. And, I'm probably going to throw a link down in the description for an Isotope holiday bundle if that's still around. Super good value, so I would recommend checking that out. But yeah, so Final Cut does give you that plugin option, which is really nice. And that moves us kind of into the audio editing options here between these two. And this is Filmora's big weakness, in my opinion. You get very limited audio correction with Filmora X. You get a little noise reduction, some EQ, but that's about it. They did include audio ducking, I think, in the update to Filmora X, Filmora 10, which is nice, but it's still very limited. Final Cut, on the other hand, they offer a good amount of audio. As we mentioned, kind of that pre-installed audio transitions and effects, but then also those plugins. So again, great deal of flexibility within Final Cut to mess with audio if you need to. And then last thing on the editing front is color correction and LUTs. Filmora X, again, is limited here, but it does give you the ability to make simple color corrections. And it has LUTs included. It also gives you the option to import new LUTs if you choose to. Final Cut Pro obviously has more extensive color correction. It's not DaVinci Resolve by any means, but it's certainly more extensive. It can accomplish what you need to accomplish. And like Filmora, it has LUTs, and it also has the ability to obviously import new LUTs if you choose to. So moving on from editing options into the ease of use. And we'll start with Filmora X here again. Ease of use is what's made Filmora basically my go-to software for a while now. You can get up and running, editing in no time. Very easy to learn and sort of start creating. A lot of, everything's kind of drag and drop. A lot of built-in audio or auto corrections. And then it's also worth mentioning, I think, which is a really nice touch, they have a built-in screen recorder, which I use a lot, so you can sort of record and edit right in the same software. That's a nice touch. Final Cut, the learning curve is much higher here, I believe. And again, this is a professional level video editor, so that comes with sort of its own set of issues. And, when you have that much stuff available to you, it takes a long time to learn it all. I think you'll most likely find yourself on YouTube a lot more often with Final Cut, just trying to figure out how to do things, where to find things, that sort of stuff. And a nice feature to point out here for Final Cut, just so it doesn't feel left out, is the video playback. I think this is a nice ease of use touch. You just sort of put your pointer on a clip in your little media folder, just drag it back and forth, and you can kind of get a preview of the clip. It makes it very easy to see what you're working with. All right, last thing before we make this video and check out the exporting times is the exporting options. So Filmora X gives you a good amount of options. You can set aspect ratios, resolutions up to 4K, a few other settings to mess with down there. Final Cut Pro, as you can see, also has lots of exporting options here. Has everything Filmora has and some. You can go up to 8K video if you want, which is pretty nice. All right, so let's get these videos thrown together and check out those exporting speeds. As I mentioned earlier, these are being made on different laptops, and that's kind of because Final Cut is formatted to work with Apple products, obviously. So I wanted an equivalent product on the Windows side, and while they're not necessarily equivalent, the Blade 15 is roughly the same price. They both essentially have the same 6-core, 12-thread CPU. They both have 16 gigs of RAM, both have M.2 SSDs, but the Blade, personally, I think it has a stronger GPU in the RTX 2070 Max Q versus the RX 5300M on the Apple side. So we'll see how that skews things a little bit. But anyways, with that being said, let's go. All right, coming back now with some final thoughts. Which program is right for you? I think they're both great, of course, but full disclosure, I am partial to Filmora because I've used it for a long time. So, who should use? We'll start with Final Cut Pro. I think first, if you're someone that aspires to work as a professional video editor, maybe you want to work in Hollywood or something of that sort, do yourself the favor and learn on the software you'll be using when you get there. Plenty of Hollywood movies have been made in Final Cut Pro, and just pulling up a few here, like The Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, John Carter, those have all been made in Final Cut. Second, if maybe you have more extensive audio or visual needs, I think Final Cut would do you well. And then if you're someone that's partial to Mac, which isn't a small thing, a lot of people just like being in that Mac ecosystem. Maybe you have familiarity with iMovie, whatever happens to be, Final Cut might be better for you. Lastly, maybe if you're like an artist and you'll need, again, more of that extensive audio or color correction, then this software will certainly have you covered. So then, who should use Filmora X? And I think if you have a simple, maybe a YouTube channel, maybe you film your podcast or you have a vlog, I think this would work great for you. The use of the film stocks makes customizing quick and easy. And, if you have like I said, a vlog or a podcast that doesn't require terribly in-depth audio or color correction, like you already maybe own a nice microphone and stuff like that, Filmora would work great for that. Or maybe if you're a gamer, you just want to upload guides and gameplay, I think Filmora would be great for that as well. Here again, you don't need sort of those plethora of tools that Final Cut has for you, to get your gameplay ready. So Filmora could handle those kind of videos really well and save you some money in the process. So that's it, folks. Please take a second, like I said, to drop a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But until next time, God bless.